Perfect. All right, so writing linear equations. Everyone ready to go? So equation of a line in slope-intercept form. All right, so y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form. Okay, that's what our equation is going to look like. Now, in order to get the equation, you need to know two things. You need to know the slope, and this is m. Okay, so your m value is your slope. And then you need to know the y-intercept. And that is the b value. Okay? So when we write these equations, y equals mx plus b, m is your slope, b is your y-intercept. So, as we go through today, we're going to have different situations, and we're going to learn how to get the slope and y-intercept given different information. So we're going to start off easy and then kind of, I don't want to say get more difficult, but do different types of problems. All good? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, first two types of problems here. So when given slope and y-intercept, okay, so when you're given the slope and y-intercept, it should be pretty easy. Okay, again, our equation is y equals mx plus b. So we're simply just going to plug the number in for m, that is m, and the number in for b, that is b. So if I have the slope and the y-intercept, my equation would be y equals 2 over 3x plus negative 4. Now you could also write that as y equals 2/3 x minus 4. It's the same thing. All right. So that's your y and x should still be there. It's just you're plugging in numbers for m and b. Second one here. M is negative 3, b is 0.5. So this equation would be y equals negative 3x plus 0.5. It's that simple. So when I give you the slope and you get the y-intercept, it's really that simple. Just plug the numbers in. Does anyone have any questions on this type of problem, given this information? Okay. Okay, what about when you're given a slope and a point? So again, I'm giving you your slope, okay? But now I'm telling you that it goes through this point. So I'm not giving you your y-intercept. So you have to figure out your y-intercept. So we start, again, our equation is y equals mx plus b. Start by just plugging in your slope, because you know that. So that would be y equals negative 2x plus b. From there now, we want to be able to solve for b. Well, we have this point. Okay, this is an x, y coordinate point. Let's do that in a different color. This is an x, y coordinate point. So what we can do is we can plug 2 in for x and negative 3 in for y. So what that looks like is I'd have negative 3 equals negative 2 in parentheses 2, so times 2 plus b. And now b is my only variable. Now I should be able to solve this equation for b. This is just a solving equation like we've done a bajillion times. So negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. So negative 3 equals negative 4 plus b. So then I want to get rid of the negative 4. How do I get rid of the negative 4? Plus 4. Yep. Add 4 to both sides. So add 4 to both sides. This is gone. I'm left with b equals negative 3 plus 4 is positive 1. Once you have your b value, then you go back. Go back to this equation and write your final answer. So my final answer is going to be y equals negative 2x, but now I know my b value, so plus 1. And that's my final answer. So you go back to that essentially first step you did and rewrite it, but now you have a number for b. Does that make sense? Let's do another one. So m equals 1 and goes through -4, -5. Okay? So again, I'm going to start y equals mx plus b. That's my equation. So then when I do that, I'm going to plug in, I know what m is. So y equals 1x plus b. From there, I have this point. It's an xy coordinate point. So the x is -4, the y is -5. So it's going to be -5 equals 1 times -4 plus b. From there, I solve this for b. So 1 times -4 is -4, so I have -5 equals -4 plus b. And so then to get b by itself, I add 4 to both sides. So b is equal to -1. -5 plus 4 is -1. So then my final step is go back to this first step, rewrite it, but now I know my b value. So y equals 1x minus 1. Or if you wrote plus -1, that would be fine. Any questions on that one? Cool. So that's if you're given the slope and a point. Okay, well, what if you're given a table? So if we're given a table, all right, we should know how to we got to get the slope from the table, right? So what we want to look for is we want to pick 2 points. So I always usually just do the first 2 in my table. And I go, okay, how is my x changing? I'm adding 1 for my x values. How is my y changing? When I go from 3 to -1, what am I doing? Subtracting 4. So it's -4. So if my slope, again, remember, is the change in y over the change in x, the change in y was -4, and the x was +1. So it's -4 over 1, which I can simplify to just -4. I don't have to have the divided by 1. So then b is my y-intercept. So if b is my y-intercept, again, remember, b is my y-intercept. My y-intercept is when I have an x value of 0. So I'm looking for in the table, where is my x value of 0? Here's my x value of 0. So my y value for that is my b value. That's my y-intercept. So my b value is 3. Once you identify your m and your b, then you can write the equation. So again, your equation is y equals mx plus b. So then plug your m and your b in. So y equals -4x plus 3. Does that make sense, how we get the slope and how we get the y-intercept? Okay, so then let's look at this table. So again, we want to start with the same thing. Figure out our slope. So again, the slope is going to be the change in y over the change in x. So my change in x, I went from 2 to 4. So I added 2. My change in y, I went from 4 to 7. So I added 3. So my slope, change in y over change in x, is +3 over +2. So 3 over 2. And I'm just going to keep it as that fraction. So then I need my b value. My b value, again, is my y-intercept. Okay, so it's my y-intercept. That's when x is 0. I don't have x is 0 on my table. So what I usually do is I add an extra spot to my table here, and I go, okay, x is 0. So what does the y value have to be? Well, if I'm here, if I go from 2 to 0, how much am I going down? From 2 to 0, how much am I going down? Minus 2, right? So we're going from 2 to 0. 2 minus 2 gets me 0. So then if I'm going down 2, how much do you think my y is going to go up or down? Minus 3. Because when I went up 2, it went up 3. So if I go down 2, I'm going to go down 3. So 4 minus 3 would be 1. So my y-intercept is this value right here. So that's my b value. So my b value is positive 1. So then my equation again is y equals mx plus b, and I just have to plug in what I have here. So y equals 3 over 2x plus 1, and that would be my answer. Any questions on that one? That would be like the more complicated table problem, where you have to work it back to get the y-intercept. Okay. So then we also do it from patterns. So if you turn your page over to the next page, patterns. Okay, so what if we have tile patterns? Okay, how do we get our slope and how do we get our b value? Okay, well our slope, when we have a tile pattern, our slope is just the change in tiles. Change in the number of tiles. So when I look from here to here, I gotta know what's my change in the number of tiles. 4, right? I'm adding this one, this one, this one, and this one. So I added 4 tiles. So my slope is positive 4. That's my slope, because it's the change in the number of tiles. I simply just count the tiles in the first one, and then count the tiles in the next one and see what the difference is. My b value is my figure 0. It's my initial amount. Now here, it's not labeled for you, but we would routinely give you figure 1, figure 2, figure 3. We've done that before. So if figure 1 has 5 tiles, my b value is going to be the number of tiles in figure 0. How many tiles does figure 0 have then? 1. Because if I'm adding 4 going this way, to go this way, I subtract 4. So there would be 1 tile, or just that center tile. That's why it's outlined in purple. So my b value would be positive 1. So then I can write my equation. So y equals mx plus b. My m is 4, my b is 1, so it's y equals 4x plus 1. Boom, bang, done. One more tile pattern. So here are my different tile patterns. I got first, second, third, and fourth. So what's my slope here? What's my slope? 2. It's positive 2. So again, the slope is the change in the number of tiles. I went from 1 tile to 3 tiles. I'm adding 2. I went from 3 to 5 tiles. I'm adding 2. This has 7 tiles. You're adding 2. So my slope is positive 2. My b value would be my figure 0. What is my figure 0 here? What would it be? Negative 1. And so remember we talked about yesterday, if you had to draw that, you just put a negative sign in the tile. All right. But so my B value would be -1. So I have one negative tile. So then I can write my equation. Y equals mx plus b. And so y equals 2x minus 1. Or plus -1 if that is what you prefer to write. I don't think I have.